Aha! Gabriel on this side of the screen in this special episode about one of my favorite TV shows, Dark, from Netflix. This is a special episode, this is a special request from one of my fans who asked me a couple of questions like, hey Gabriel, what the Higgs boson is? And is it related to the time travel? Well, let me explain to you what the Higgs boson is. But first of all, I want to start talking about what the Higgs field is. The Higgs field, it's a field, a tiny field where we all live. It's inside us, it's outside us, it's in the outer space, it's everywhere. And the way we interact with the Higgs field will determine our properties. This Higgs theory or Higgs field theory was proposed in order to explain, among many other things, what exactly the mass is. Because I know that I have mass. Because I have protons, electrons, and neutrons? No, because they already do have mass. What exactly the mass is? Let's take a step back in time. Sir Isaac Newton described what he called the gravity and the inertia as a consequence of the mass. The gravity is some sort of link between particles that have mass, which means if you have mass, you will have the ability to attract another things that have mass. And if you have mass, then you will have inertia. And the inertia is the resistance to keep moving or to keep static. That is inertia, but that does not explain what the mass is. So they said, like, okay, let's try to measure how we interact with the Higgs field. But in order to measure how we interact with the Higgs field, we need to know what is living inside that Higgs field. And he said, like, the theorist said, like, hey, okay, if I hit really hard, but really, really hard, the Higgs field, then small tiny particles will pop off. And I will be able to study them and I will be able to understand how we can interact with this field and with these particles. This field is called the Higgs field. Therefore, these particles are called the Higgs bosons because they are massless and they are responsible for interactions. Bosons are responsible of interactions, weak and strong interactions. Well, cool. So they were in the CERN and they accelerated particles at astonishingly fast speeds, and then they made them collide. And these particles, the crash between these particles was that hard that the Higgs field moved and these tiny particles popped off. And they were able, by mid-2013, to detect what they called the Higgs bosons, which were theorized like in the 60s or 70s. Okay, so yeah, in fact, we actually discovered the Higgs boson, and it's a step, a really big step, a tiny but big step, in order to understand what the Higgs field is and what the mass is. In order to explain in not so difficult terms, imagine that we are on a party. And in this party, there are celebrities like Scarlett Johansson and Hathaway, Cristiano Ronaldo, Messi, whatever you want. And in this party, it's Gabriel Vera. Gabriel Vera, nobody knows who Gabriel Vera is. So nobody is gonna interact with me because I'm not a celebrity. And I will be able to walk around this party and nobody will notice me. I will be like a massless particle. If this party, if all the guests in the party are like the Higgs field and I am not interacting with them, then I have no mass. Because the stronger the interaction with the Higgs field, then the bigger my mass is. If I have the ability to have no interaction with this Higgs field, then I will have no mass. But imagine that the doors open and Brad Pitt comes in. Everybody knows Brad Pitt. Everybody loves Brad Pitt or Leonardo DiCaprio or whatever you want. So everybody will be like, hey Leonardo, hey Brad, how are you? Everybody will start to interact with them. He will be like something that has mass because he is interacting with the Higgs field, and his movement will be slower than mine because he is interacting with the field and I have no interaction at all. And that is a way we can explain what mass is, how strong our interaction is with the Higgs field via the Higgs boson. So, answering your question, is the Higgs boson related to the time travel? Well, no, it's related to the mass. But it's a good plot for a TV show. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you hit the like button and please be patient with me. English is not my first language. So sorry if I was not very clear, but believe me, I made my effort. If you like the video, please let me know and I will keep improving my English. Be happy and be cool. Aha! Another Easter egg. Why do we call the Higgs boson as the God's particle? Well, the Higgs boson, it's inside us, it's outside us, it's everywhere. It's like the link between the Higgs field and us. It's in the interaction, it's responsible of the interaction, it's mediating the interaction. So if it's everywhere and God is everywhere, someone said like, hey, we should call it the God particle. And that's why we call it the God particle, because it's everywhere, but it's not the official name. The official name is Higgs boson, and somebody said like, well, the Higgs boson is everywhere, God is everywhere, then it's God's particle. Be cool.